Nah.
It should be on the back, on the bottom.
It is midpoint.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not
I don't
here.
think we
It's
did.
not up there?
We never did midpoint.
I thought I put it up there.
No,
Okay.
We did everything else except midpoint.
We did everything. Oh, we did bisector, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let me give y'all actual definition of it. Midpoint and bisector are pretty much the same thing. The point on segment exactly half way to the other side. Point on a segment that is exactly halfway to the other side.
So pretty much segment addition, like how the B is.
Yes, except notice how I scooted the B over
Yeah.
a little bit more, so it's not exactly in the center. So if you were to look at the midpoint, and it must state that it is the midpoint. I will repeat that. Matter of fact, put a star next to it. Must state that it is the midpoint. Because you will get some questions where it'll look like this. It'll look like this.
That looks slightly off-centered.
Off-centered.
Yeah.
How about now?
Little one.
A little more?
Yeah.
That's about right.
About right? Okay. Good.
Yeah.
Okay, so it'll look like this: A, B, and C.
Okay.
Right?
A, B, C.
Yeah. You'll have some questions that it'll look like this, but if it doesn't say that B is the midpoint,
Wait, does it say like
Then
B
it's
is
not.
midpoint?
then you should not assume, okay?
Yeah.
We are not assuming here.
Assuming makes sense.
Just because it looks like it's in the middle doesn't mean it's in the middle.
It must state that it is the
So
midpoint.
it'll be like B is midpoint.
Yes. Okay?
Like really.
And it will show, either it'll state that B is the midpoint, or it'll show the two arcs showing that AB is congruent with BC.
What?
Okay?
No need.
Oh, I can't see because it's clear. Okay.
Sorry.
Move over here. The glare doesn't affect on this side.
But please, please, please understand that, okay? If it doesn't say that B is the midpoint, do not assume that it is. It'll either say that it is the midpoint, or it'll say something similar to AB is congruent with BC, okay? Point blank. Angle bisector. What's your definition say about an angle bisector?
A ray that splits an angle into two congruent angles. Oh.
A ray that splits an angle into two congruent parts. Okay?
Yeah.
Same thing with the midpoint, you do with the bisector. If you have, let's say you have a right angle right here, right? You have that one ray that one ray that pretty much splits it. So you have A, B, C, and D. If it does not tell you or not if, but it must
State that it's angle bisector.
state that it is a bisector
Just bisector.
or midpoint. Because sometimes it'll state that this is a midpoint or these two segments bisect each other, which means they split each other in half. Stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? It will tell you. But if it does not tell you this, do not assume, okay? It must say that, okay, clearly, this angle right here, this angle and this angle are both congruent. You know what I'm saying?
They're both equal.
They both are congruent because of the two arcs. Okay? So therefore, you have a measure of angle ABD. ABD is congruent with the measure of angle DBC. DBC. Okay? If it doesn't give you the arcs or state that the ray D is the bisector of this, splitting it into two 45-degree angles, then you should not assume. I can't explain that. I can't stress that enough. I cannot stress that enough. Please don't assume. I have a lot of students that tend to assume like, oh, it's right there in the center. And therefore,
It's wrong.
you know, well, sometimes they get it wrong, yes. Because they assume that just because it's right there in the center, that it's automatically a midpoint or a bisector.
But that flies.
Okay? Complementary. Subsection of
This one's
segment addition.
2 angles.
Part plus part equals how much?
90.
Good job. Part.
That's literally all we had. I wrote before.
It's okay. Plus part equals 90 degrees. Okay?
Definition. 2 angles.
It doesn't necessarily have to be a bisector. Bisector is the easiest because, you know, 45 plus 45 is 90, but you can have other parts. Okay? You can have something looking like that. Clearly, this part plus this part, yes, you know? So, therefore, if I'm gonna write this out,
That'd be a.
let me start at the other end. X, Y, Z.
W.
You said W?
Yeah.
Let's do W. Okay. And you could say the measure of angle XYW, XYW plus the measure of angle WYZ, WYZ is equal to,
X, Y, Z.
which is equal to 90
So it's pretty
degrees.
much, it's like loss. Or loss syllogism,
Okay?
right?
When
you look at it,
substitution. The substitution property. This is where your substitution property comes into play, okay? And I will be showing you that. Okay? Complementary.